My name is Lila Reeves, and I never thought I'd catch my husband with his pants down at a tech conference. But here we are, and it's about to get a whole lot worse. I weaved through the crowd at the after-party, riding the high of my keynote speech. That's when I spotted Rowan, his hand sliding down some blonde's back. My stomach dropped. What the hell? I muttered, ducking behind a potted plant. Rowan leaned in close to the woman's ear. June, baby, I can't wait to show you our new place. June giggled. When do I get to see it?
Soon.
Once I move some more money around, we'll be set. I gripped the plant's ceramic pot, knuckles white. Money? What money? You're sure your wife won't find out?
June asked.
Rowan scoffed.
Please.
Lila's too busy with her precious startup to notice anything. Besides, the funds are already transferred. She'll never know. My vision blurred. Funds? Transferred? I stumbled backward, bumping into a waiter. Whoa, easy there, he said, steadying me. I mumbled an apology and bolted for the exit. Outside, the cool night air hit my face, but it did nothing to calm the storm inside me. My phone buzzed. A text from Marco, my CFO. Hey boss, noticed some weird account activity. Can we talk, ASAP? I stared at the screen, my world crumbling around me. Rowan, my husband of 10 years, was stealing from my company. And for what? Some side piece named June? I took a deep breath, straightening my shoulders. One thing was clear. Rowan had no idea who he was messing with. If he wanted to play dirty, I'd show him just how ruthless a wronged woman could be. Game on, darling. I stormed into the office at dawn, my mind racing. Marco was already there, his face grim. Show me everything, I demanded. He pulled up the accounts on his screen. Lila, it's bad. Really bad. I leaned in, my heart pounding as I saw the numbers. Hundreds of thousands gone. Transferred to accounts I didn't recognize. How long? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Months. Maybe longer. I slammed my fist on the desk. Damn it, Rowan. Marco touched my arm. There's more. Look at these transactions. As I scrolled through, a pattern emerged. Regular payments to online gambling sites, high-end retailers, luxury hotels. He has a gambling problem, I realized aloud. And he's been living it up with June on my dime. Marco nodded. What do you want to do? I straightened up, my shock turning to cold determination. First, we lock him out. Change all the passwords, freeze the accounts he has access to. Then, I want every shred of evidence gathered and secured. And Rowan? I took a deep breath. I'm filing for divorce. Today. Marco's eyes widened. Are you sure? Absolutely. He made his choice. Now I'm making mine. I spent the next hours in a whirlwind of activity. Calling my lawyer, securing files, changing locks. By afternoon, I'd filed for divorce and had a restraining order in hand. When Rowan finally showed up at the house, I was waiting. What's going on? He asked, trying to unlock the door. Why isn't my key working? I stepped onto the porch, papers in hand. Because you don't live here anymore, Rowan. We're done. His face paled as I served him the divorce papers and restraining order. Lila, wait, he stammered. We can talk about this. I met his eyes, my voice steel. There's nothing left to say, except goodbye. I turned and walked back inside, slamming the door on my old life and stepping into an uncertain but empowered future. I sat across from Clara, my mentor and closest confidant, in her sleek corner office. Her eyes were full of concern as I laid out my plan. You're sure about this, Lila? She asked, leaning forward. I nodded, my jaw set. Absolutely. Rowan's not getting away with this. Clara made a call, and within hours, Rowan's assets were frozen. It was just the beginning. Next stop, a discreet office downtown. I met with Sam, a private investigator with a reputation for thoroughness. I need everything, I told him. Every account, every debt, every dirty little secret. Sam nodded, his expression grim. Consider it done. Days passed in a blur of meetings and sleepless nights. The kids were with my parents, safe from the storm brewing around us. Then Sam's report landed on my desk. I felt sick as I read through it. Marco. I called, my voice shaking. You need to see this. He rushed in, his face paling as he scanned the documents. Jesus, he whispered. Credit cards, loans, all in your name. I slumped in my chair. He's buried me in debt I didn't even know about. Marco's hand found my shoulder. We'll fix this, Lila. I promise. Just then my phone buzzed. An unknown number. Hello. You think you're so clever, don't you? Rowan's voice, cold and unfamiliar. You have no idea what you're up against. I straightened, anger replacing fear. Neither do you, Rowan. I'm not the same woman you married. You'll regret this, he snarled before hanging up. I looked at Marco, my resolve hardening. Get Vivian on the phone. It's time to fight fire with fire. As I dialed my attorney's number, I knew the real battle was just beginning. But I was ready. Rowan had no idea what was coming for him. The conference room buzzed with tension as I faced my team. Clara stood beside me, a pillar of strength, while Marco paced nervously. We're in this together, I announced, my voice steady. Rowan's actions have put us all at risk, but we're going to fight back. Clara stepped forward. I've reached out to my contacts in the tech industry. We've got support, Lila. People are ready to stand with you. A wave of relief washed over me. Thank you, Clara. That means everything. Marco stopped pacing. I've been working on untangling the financial mess. It's complicated, but we're making progress. Just then, my phone buzzed. Rowan's name flashed on the screen. Excuse me, I said, stepping out. Lila, Rowan's voice dripped with venom. Call off your dogs, or I swear, you'll regret it. I felt a chill run down my spine, but kept my voice level. Is that a threat, Rowan? It's a promise. I know things about you, about the company. Things that could ruin you. You're bluffing, I said, but doubt crept in. Am I? Try me, Lila. See what happens when you push me too far. The line went dead. I leaned against the wall, my heart racing. Clara found me moments later. Lila, what's wrong? I recounted Rowan's threat, my hands shaking. Clara's eyes hardened. He's desperate. We need to move faster. Back in the conference room, I addressed the team. Rowan's getting aggressive. We need to be prepared for anything. Marco nodded grimly. I'll double our cybersecurity efforts. If he's planning something, we'll be ready. As the meeting adjourned, I felt a mix of fear and determination. Rowan had shown his true colors, but I wasn't backing down. With my allies by my side, I was ready to face whatever he threw at me. The battle lines were drawn. It was time to show Rowan exactly who he was dealing with. I stood before the cameras, my heart pounding but my voice steady. Today, I'm here to set the record straight. The press conference was a calculated risk, but one I had to take. Rowan had tried to spin the narrative, painting me as the villain. It was time to fight back. My husband, Rowan Reeves, has not only betrayed our marriage but also embezzled funds from our company to fuel a gambling addiction. Gasps rippled through the crowd. I pressed on, revealing the evidence we'd gathered, bank statements, credit card bills, casino records. I stand before you not as a victim, but as a woman reclaiming her power, I declared. I will not let one man's actions destroy what I've built. As I fielded questions, I caught sight of Clara in the back, nodding encouragingly. Marco stood nearby, ready to provide financial details if needed. Suddenly, a commotion erupted at the back of the room. Rowan burst in, his face contorted with rage. You lying bitch, he shouted. You're trying to ruin me. Security moved to intercept him, but not before he got close enough for me to see the desperation in his eyes. It's over, Rowan, I said calmly into the microphone. The truth is out. As he was dragged away, still hurling threats, I turned back to the cameras. This is why I'm fighting. Not just for myself, but for every person who's been betrayed, every entrepreneur whose trust has been abused. The room erupted in applause. I felt a weight lift from my shoulders. For the first time in months, I allowed myself a small smile. Later, as we left the venue, Clara squeezed my hand. You did it, Lila. You turned the tide. I nodded, my resolve stronger than ever. Now, we prepare for court. Vivian's waiting for us. The battle wasn't over, but I'd reclaimed my narrative, and I was ready for whatever came next. The courtroom buzzed with tension as I took my seat. Vivian, my attorney, exuded confidence beside me. Across the aisle, Rowan glared, his once charming face twisted with hatred. "All rise," the bailiff called as the judge entered. Vivian's opening statement was a masterpiece, laying out Rowan's deceit with surgical precision. I watched the jury's faces, seeing shock and disgust as the extent of his crimes became clear. As our case unfolded, Vivian called witness after witness. Marco presented the financial records, his testimony damning. Clara spoke of the changes she'd observed in me during Rowan's deceptions. Then came the bombshell. The prosecution calls June Winters to the stand. Rowan's head snapped up, his face paling. June walked in, avoiding his gaze. "Ms. Winters," Vivian began, "please tell the court about your relationship with the defendant." June's voice trembled. "Rowan told me he loved me, that he'd leave his wife. He said the money was from his successful investments." "And when did you learn the truth?" "After Lila's press conference. I realized he'd lied about everything." Rowan's lawyer objected, but the judge overruled. June continued, revealing intimate details of Rowan's spending and gambling. I caught Rowan's eye. For a moment, I saw the man I'd married, scared, vulnerable. Then his mask of anger slipped back into place. As June stepped down, the courtroom erupted in whispers. Vivian turned to me, a glimmer of triumph in her eyes. "We've got him," she whispered. But I knew Rowan. He wouldn't go down without a fight. As his lawyer prepared to cross-examine June, I steeled myself. The real battle was just beginning. The air crackled with anticipation. This was it, the moment that would decide everything. I took a deep breath, ready to face whatever came next. The gavel's sharp crack echoed through the courtroom. In the matter of Reeves versus Reeves, we find the defendant, Rowan Reeves, guilty on all counts. A collective gasp rippled through the room. I sat, stunned, as the judge continued reading the verdict. Embezzlement.
Fraud.
Financial abuse. The list went on. Rowan's face crumpled, his bravado finally shattered. As the bailiff led him away, our eyes met. For a moment, I saw a flicker of the man I'd once loved, now lost in a sea of his own making. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed. Vivian stepped forward, shielding me. "Justice has been served," she declared. "My client will be making no further statements at this time." As we pushed through the crowd, I caught snippets of conversation. Rowan Reeves, disgraced. Tech moguls fall from grace. His reputation was in tatters. Back at the office, Clara and Marco were waiting. Clara enveloped me in a hug. "It's over," she whispered. "You did it, Lila." Marco grinned, holding up a tablet. "And wait till you see this." The judge's ruling just came through on the financials. I scanned the document, my eyes widening. Full custody of the kids. The return of all embezzled funds. A significant portion of our joint assets. "We've got our company back," I breathed. And then some. As the reality sank in, a weight I'd been carrying for months finally lifted. Tears welled up, a mix of relief, triumph, and lingering sadness for what could have been. Clara squeezed my shoulder. "What now, boss?" I took a deep breath, squaring my shoulders.
Now?
We rebuild. Stronger than ever. As we toasted to new beginnings, I felt a surge of determination. Rowan's betrayal had nearly destroyed me, but I'd emerged victorious. The future was mine to shape, and I was ready for whatever came next. 1 year later, I stood on a stage, addressing a room full of aspiring entrepreneurs. The spotlight felt warm, but not as warm as the sense of pride swelling in my chest. "Welcome to the first annual Resilience Foundation Gala," I began. "A year ago, I stood at the precipice of ruin. Today, I stand before you as proof that setbacks can become comebacks." I scanned the crowd, seeing Clara and Marco beaming from the front row. My children, safe and thriving, sat beside them. This foundation isn't just about funding new businesses. It's about empowering those who've faced betrayal, who've had to rebuild from the ground up. It's about turning pain into purpose. As I spoke, I caught a glimpse of a familiar face slipping into the back of the room. Rowan, looking older and humbled, his eyes meeting mine for a brief moment before dropping away. I paused, a flicker of our shared past passing between us. Then I continued, stronger than ever. To every person here who's ever felt broken, know this. You are not defined by what happens to you, but by how you rise above it. The room erupted in applause. As I stepped off the stage, Clara enveloped me in a hug. You did it, Lila, she whispered. You've come full circle. Marco grinned, holding up his phone. And wait till you see the donations rolling in. We're going to change lives. Later, as the crowd thinned, I found myself face to face with Rowan. Congratulations, he said softly. You've built something amazing here. I nodded, feeling not anger, but a sense of closure. Thank you, Rowan. I hope you find your way. As he turned to leave, I watched him go, realizing that the final chains of our past had broken. I was free, truly free, to embrace the future I'd fought so hard to create. Surrounded by friends, family, and a renewed sense of purpose, I stepped into that future, ready for whatever challenges and triumphs lay ahead.